with that, I see we have several participants joining our panel. So welcome everybody to this final round of panel for this day. We are very happy. You see that we are here several participants of the so-called GEIGER consortium project that I will introduce at the first agenda item so that you know where we are or who we are. After that, everybody of us will quickly introduce himself, herself, and then we want to open up for a panel discussion for this session. So this is how we structured it. I will share my screen. So for all the participants joining, if you double click on my shared screen, you will see my presentation in a larger mode. So I hope this is working, and you should be able to see my front screen, right? If it's not showing any slides, I would be very happy to receive your feedback. And not hearing any opposing words, so I assume you can see this Cluj Innovation Days front slide. And I want to welcome everybody who is joining our slot here. I am Bettina Schneider. I am working for the FHNW University of Applied Sciences and Arts, Northwestern Switzerland. So I'm situated in Basel. And I am the deputy consortium lead of what you see at the right side down here, the GEIGER project. And the GEIGER project is a European project that has started in June this year. And I would want to introduce the idea of the project and our consortium so that you know with whom you are exchanging your thoughts. And the background of our project, actually, why we are here and talking to you and why we have this project and join together forces, we have a common challenge to face and to overcome, which is that the small and micro enterprises throughout Europe, they build really the backbone. You know that better than I do. So you build the backbone of the European economy. However, we all as organizations, no matter if we're small or large, face the challenge that more and more cyber attacks are arising. And we will also discuss that, especially also in the COVID-19 crisis, this issue has really increased. And this costs a lot of resources to protect against cyber threats. And actually, for the small and micro enterprises, we face quite some resource constraints in addition. So they might not be sufficiently protected against negligent behavior or malicious attacks from outside. According to some studies, 68% of small businesses experienced a breach or an attack. So it seems that at least here in our panel and in our audience, we should have participants that unfortunately were also victims of breach or an attack. 56% of the breaches were not discovered, however, so maybe you are in here and say, okay, I'm not breached or attacked, but maybe you just did not discover it yet. 60% of severely hacked businesses close within 6 months. So this is why it's really getting an issue. And also, you know, due to more compliance regulations like the General Data Protection Regulation, we also getting these challenges with some fines that might be opposed to us if it turned out that we got a lack of data or we lost some data from our customers, for example. According to some studies, the average cost of cybersecurity accounts for around about 12,000 euro for small businesses per year, which might not account too much, whereas it's already quite an amount. And probably not accounting for the fact that you might also have a lack of reputation with your customers and a loss of operational business. So the money that money that you did not make during the time of your attack. Also, the European Union has realized that the SMEs are really an essential component and of strategic relevance for a sustainable and digital Europe. And they have funded several projects and got some grants for supporting the SME and ME cybersecurity. And so this is that we teamed up with a quite large consortium of 18 partners overall to tackle this issue of cyber threats and increasing cybersecurity and privacy throughout Europe for the small enterprises. You see here a lot of logos on the screen. So who are we? Actually, because we want to help the SMEs and MEs. It is a good point, and it's important for us to have small enterprises on board. So, for example, you see the logo here of a coiffeur, of a hairdresser. So this is Coiffeur Loredana. We have some health small enterprises. We have here in the round, we have Heike, which will also present herself later on from e-abo. And maybe you know these logos down here, Braintronics and Public Tender, which are related to the Cluj IT cluster. And I saw Daniel here, Daniel Homorodian on the board as well as participants. So we have as very important participants, small enterprises in our consortium. And also in addition to improve their situation and get their point of view, it's important to spread whatever we develop in our project and what we want to improve to make a good spread of our results. So this is why, in addition, it was important for us to also include some members, some associations which support the SMEs. And while we see here some pictures of the hairdresser, for example, in our consortium, or here we have Heike, which is in our consortium, she will present herself. We also have, as I mentioned, some associations which serve as multiplicators of our solutions of the GEIGER, where we want to support security throughout Europe. So we have an association in Switzerland. We have the Cluj IT cluster as one member in our board, so you know them. And also from the Netherlands, an accountants association. And then here in our project, overall, what is our idea? What is our main framework? We aim to holistically address the issue of cybersecurity and privacy throughout Europe with a so-called cyber GEIGER indicator that we want to spread. So if you have a look at the middle here of this slide, our idea was it should be as simple to detect if I am at cyber threat as using a GEIGER counter for radiation, for atomic radiation. Similar to that, we want to develop an app, a tool, that is indicating, as you see it here, like a dashboard kind of style here, indicating if you are at a cyber risk or not. This indicator will be used and tested, validated by the SMEs and MEs in our consortium, and with the help of the association, spread in a broader scope and focus. Another player in our board is also the CERTs, and also have on board, and we are very proud to have them here, the CERT of Romania is part of our consortium. They will also be a player, and important here you see this linkage that we have an investigation, or that we have a discussion about how can we share the relevant information, not between the CERTs and really the large players in the country, or the really important, or the large consortiums, or the large corporations, but also the many, many small and medium-sized enterprises. This is the technical aspect, and so this GEIGER indicator should be used, as you see it, to also communicate risk and monitor risks and exchange also data with the CERTs and CERTs. It should be a personalized risk indicator being able to used on a mobile device, for example. And also an essential part of our project, of our overall framework, is the educational ecosystem. And we also have some players of our consortium here. We have the School of Education from Germany, Freiburg. We have some educational partners here, some strong partners, also Kaspersky, who is joining our panel, who will take care that we not just have another technological solution, but that we have a whole ecosystem of spreading and educating and creating awareness. So our idea is to create a certified security defenders community of interested, of young people, of ambassadors that get certified and then can also serve as multiplicators for our solution. So we want to have a strong focus on this community building. So it will be a community of education providers that develop and consolidate experiential training formats, but also a security defender community that serves as multiplicators, and in the end, for sure, our SMEs and MEs throughout Europe. In our today's consortium, we have on board partners from the from the University of Education. We have partners from Kaspersky, from Montimage, the cyber range from France, e-abo, and myself, I'm from the University of Applied Science and Arts, Northwestern Switzerland. And if you have questions towards our project, or also questions throughout our panel, I'm really inviting you to join our discussion and to use the chat. We have our dear colleague Heini from TechEU, so she is here in the background and helping us screening the chat. So if you have questions, she will be there and screening the chat. So I'm very happy to also have you contributing. And with this first introduction of our project, the GEIGER project, I would be very happy to hand over to our participants in the panel so that each person could introduce himself, herself, and to explain to the others also your role in the GEIGER project. So I would like to start with our SME participants. So with Heike. Dear Heike, would you like to present yourself?
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Heike Klaus. I'm from Switzerland. I'm a yoga teacher and founder of e-abo, providing a solution for people providing classes like yoga classes, Pilates classes, dog training, indoor cycling, fitness, and so on. Our solution is made for small and medium-sized companies, and it's very unique because it's a purely app-based solution, and it's a completely new way how to organize classes within their own business, like within a yoga studio or Pilates school and so on. It's very important for the people that's affordable and easy to use. So nevertheless, how did I come to set up e-abo as my own company? From my background, I spent more than 2 decades as a manager in the area of governance, risk and compliance, working for a pharmaceutical company, for quite a large one. And beside my job there, I also completed a professional training as a yoga teacher. So after, 5 years ago, or 4.5 years ago, I quit my position in this large company and took a time off, and I dedicated myself to teach yoga classes a little bit more. Not only practicing, also teaching. So then I recognized that there's a lot of administrative work to do, and I was looking around to find a solution to help me to do my administrative work in a better way and also in a smart way. And I was searching for an affordable solution. During that time, it's now 4 years ago, I couldn't find the right product for my needs because what I found at the market was very expensive. And as I know, as a yoga teacher, you're not earning a lot of money because, it's like also other small businesses, you really have to count every nugget. And then as I anyhow had some time off, I was thinking, why not starting my own business? So I stepped into a business I haven't had a lot of experience with. It's app development and so on, and I had to figure out who are the right people I could work with. But nevertheless, this yoga teaching and also the time off I had brought e-abo to life. So at the end of 2016, we founded our own company. And since 2018, in the middle of 2018, we went to the market with e-abo. We are still a very small startup, and at the beginning it was conceived to be a very small solution. But based on the customer feedback, we also improved a lot. And now we have a solution which is really complete. I can say it's a comprehensive course organization solution right now. With GEIGER, I hope that we will have the opportunity also to provide to small and micro enterprises possibility to deal with cybersecurity, because as I mentioned before, as a small business like yoga teacher, Pilates teacher, they are also owning data from their customers. Also my business itself, at the end, yeah, you need to see, okay, how much can I spend in that business? Or even worse, do I spend any thought about cybersecurity, you know, because this is nowadays very important. So, and I hope with Cyber GEIGER we can make a change, a big change for the micro companies and also for the small companies. Yeah, I'm happy to be also in the panel if there are any questions, so I'm more than happy to respond back. So, yeah, let's go to the next.
Thank you very much, Heike. So we are very happy to have you on board. So we see that coming from giving yoga classes to providing a yoga app, it's very important also here to consider the cybersecurity, and that awareness is really a topic here. So I would like to ask Jessica to get as the next person to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Jessica Peichl from the University of Education. And I am basically my team working on the GEIGER educational framework. So as you see, this is like a special educational format where different things come together. And basically what we do is that we say, okay, cybersecurity education plays a huge role in cyber resilience for MSEs. This is mostly because when you look at what incidents actually happen, is that many of the incidents happen because of human behavior. So that's, you might say it's actually the weakest link, what we have in the whole system of business. So it's really important that you go on and say, we make some awareness in this point. And especially now when you look at in which situation we're now, we're in home office, we have the hybrid workplaces. So it's really important to actually get this awareness. But yes, so what we've seen at the moment is when we talked to the businesses, that there is a lot of awareness. So as Heike said, that it's rising and they're getting more aware about things. But they don't have much knowledge and much competence and confidence also on the subject of cybersecurity. And from an educational perspective, it's actually possible that you make just like small actions, make small awareness of things, and that changes a lot already. And since, of course, it's a hard thing for an MSE to have high expenses on experts in IT, who might set up a whole network, which is fine, and cybersecure and whatever. This is maybe not the first option for MSEs. So maybe it's just the best to be self-resilient, to actually have this in the behavior of the people, that they act according to cybersecurity, and not have this sort of risk and cost consideration. So this is actually what we work on, a small educational program. And what we do mostly is that we say, okay, we look into the working field of these people, and we have a link between, let's say, the GEIGER app, the GEIGER counter, as Bettina mentioned, and also the education. So it's all going into one ecosystem. We have this all connected. So our educational programs aim, of course, at beginners, but it really goes on up to experts. And I think this is the first starting point when we get to cyber resilience, that we say, okay, we have something to get a grab on, like first steps, and then you can see where you go. So that's basically what it's about. And at the moment, we cooperate a lot with like partners in the consortium and small businesses to actually find out which way are we going. So yes, thank you very much. I enjoy being here. Looking forward to questions or anything coming up.
Bettina, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Bettina,
Very much.
we couldn't hear you.
Okay, now I should be back. And just thank you very much, Jessica. And I liked very much. You said the human is sometimes regarded as the weakest link, but here in our context, you want to have the human regarded also as our strongest line of defense. And so I like this viewpoint very much. Then let us point to our technology providers, which are at the same time also education solution providers. So I would suggest we proceed with Edgardo from France, from Montimage.
Okay, hello, I'm Edgardo Montes de Oca from France. So thank you for inviting me to this panel, which is very interesting. So Montimage is a company that I created in 2004. And originally I worked in Alcatel and Ericsson. And then I created this company to specialize in cybersecurity and protocol analysis, communication protocol analysis. So we have developed tools to be able to analyze the different protocols at different levels, from going from the physical to the application levels, so including radio. And we participate in the GEIGER counter by bringing some of the activities that we do, which consist in the detection of cyber attacks and the prevention of and the management of the security aspects, and also cyber range activities. Concerning the cyber range activities, they're more technical training platform. So we're adapting this to be more user friendly for the SMEs. So what we're doing in GEIGER is building some tools that are more like a game to be able to train the users to be more aware of what type of attacks they can be subjected to, for instance, phishing attacks. And so we hope that this will be very useful for different SMEs or even for big companies that want to improve their awareness of their employees. And also we have some red team activities. So this is interesting also because we can show where the vulnerabilities are for different companies or organization, and this will bring awareness that they need to invest more and to protect themselves from cybersecurity attacks, because one of the main problems of these attacks that you're not very conscious that they will impact you unless they really impact you. So that's one of the problems that we want to try to convince people that to be more aware of. And so I don't have anything more to say for now.
Thank you, Edgardo. Yes, so we saw already the high ambitions, so to change people's behavior, and so you can already start within our project consortium. So I think everybody can improve with this aspect, I'm sure. And now we turn to our colleagues from Kaspersky, Fabio and Amedeo, to present them.
Thank you, Bettina. I'm Fabio Sammartino, Head of Pre-Sales for Kaspersky Lab Italia and cybersecurity expert. And today I'll try to provide a vision of the threat landscape from our perspective, cybersecurity vendor and producer of solutions for protecting the business of SME and SMB market and even enterprise. So we have a privileged position to look what the cyber criminals are doing right now. Unfortunately, probably I'm going to scare you a bit about the threat landscape. But so everybody concerns are very well. Yes, very well guaranteed by the behaviors of the cyber criminals right now. And of course, we are also providing a vision of the mobile threat landscape that is also part of the GEIGER proposal. So, I will leave the word to Amedeo that explain much better how we participate in GEIGER.
Thank you, Fabio, and good afternoon to everyone. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm Amedeo D'Arcangelo, Enterprise Projects Technical Coordinator for Kaspersky Italia. I joined the company 2 years ago, and I'm focusing especially in security awareness training based on gamification. During my first year in Kaspersky, I managed the activities of our participation in the CID2020 project called Compact, in which we contributed to raise the cybersecurity awareness level of employees in local public administrations through our gamified educational contents. And now I'm coordinating the tasks related to the participation to 3 new CID2020 projects. The first, Trapeze, targeting citizens. The second, the Cityscape for stakeholders in the multimodal transport domain. And the third, GEIGER, of course, for medium and medium small enterprises and micro enterprises. What does these 3 projects have in common? All of them includes at least one solution or one Kaspersky solution based on gamified learning games. So games, we trust a lot the games as a vehicle for educate people. And so today I would like to highlight the importance of this type of trainings to raise the cybersecurity and privacy competencies and skills for people working in micro and medium small enterprises, and which solution Kaspersky intends to bring in the GEIGER solution to reach this target.
Very much, Amedeo. So I see we all have a strong passion for creating cybersecurity awareness to better protect Europe, to contribute to that. And to start out as a question, to now open up our discussion and also invite the participants here with us on the line to place any questions into the chat. We are very happy to interact with you here. And I would want to start out with one question, which is so we are all connected online. We are not meeting face to face. So we are used to that, connected to our home office online environment. And so as a first question to Heike, as you are this micro enterprise for which our solution should be built. So how has this COVID-19 crisis, this situation, impacted your cybersecurity situation in your company throughout the last month?
Yeah, especially for my company, I have to say, yeah, the deployment of e-abo was not as quick and as high as expected. So many of my end customers, like any course providers, class providers, they had to start with Zoom sessions and so on. There were no presence classes and so on. And on one hand, yeah, this raised the issue also with Zoom. We have heard beginning that year, because many people stepped on Zoom, and I had also a lot of discussions with some of my customers, because I told them as well, you please enter also a password or a session password, so that you are secure and so on. And at the beginning, people don't understand that, because they say, okay, but it is very difficult for my end customers to then reach the session and so on. And beside my original job, I started to have discussions with them on these topics, to say, okay, look, but you need to make yourself a little bit more secure, you know. And the awareness is not really in such areas. So I have talked to dog trainers and also to yoga and Pilates trainers and fitness trainers, and they have a completely different understanding of what is required in the areas of security. I think the awareness is not yet there, you know. So, and this gives me a little bit the impression that there is a lot to do. And also what we need to understand is to reach out to them probably in a way they understand. So, for example, I had last time a very good discussion that was the president of the yoga teaching community in Switzerland. He said, I cannot go to my people and say, yeah, you need to deal with cybersecurity. We need to use the word awareness, because awareness is in their area something, yeah, they want to be aware of themselves and their bodies and so on. It's quite funny, but yeah, I think we need to figure out how to address this topic to people which need to have more security. Mm-hmm. And I think it's not an easy way, but probably we will learn a lot during this journey how to address that in different ways and in ways people understand, and yeah, wanted to change also something.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So, Heike, you got a new job to also assist them on cybersecurity without really by intention. Yeah, I think this is very interesting. So you can already get some experiences that are very, very valuable to contribute, so that we are not like bringing a solution from experts for experts. I think this is very important. Other than that, it's a technology which will probably not be accepted.
Yeah, and even for myself, for my company, for example, I have to trust my developers and the companies I'm working with, that they're doing the right stuff. And probably for me, it would also be helpful to understand what kind of right questions could I ask them, that they have to ensure that I'm not in danger with my business, you know. So if I'm speaking about my my own company, I would also be more than happy if someone can tell you have to do a little bit area, and here there is an issue and so on, because I'm not the cybersecurity expert, you see. You know? I have some kind of awareness, but I would, as a small business, I would also need some help, and I would also need help in a way that I can say I can afford it, you know. I think this would be for me very important.
So actually, I would want to hand over also this question to our colleague. So Fabio, you mentioned already the threat landscape. So from your point of view, how has the threat landscape evolved over the last months? So we heard also about it's important that we have trust and awareness, but what is about the threat landscape? Do you have here some insights for us?
It's quite interesting situation right now, because you already mentioned the situation about COVID-19 that affected somehow the behavior of the end user, but it affected somehow also the behavior of the attackers. It's quite interesting that during this period, for example, we detected a lot of phishing attacks related to COVID-19 advertising for the vaccine or medication or something like that. Just to say that the attackers are very resilient. That's why even the SME and the business in general have to be resilient as well. Because the attackers, the cyber criminals, are ready to leverage all the newer situations to just to bring new attacks and new threats just to monetize. And this is in fact the new trends. Since 2 or 3 years, we see a great number of increasing attacks with high complexity delivered by cyber criminals groups that do not have and a high level of competences in cybersecurity. It's quite interesting with this approach, because even the cybersecurity market is suffering of a consumerization of the threats. So for the criminals, it's quite easier than in past access to complex threats. And due to this increasing number of criminal groups that are acting on the market, they are also addressing smaller targets. So that's why the business in general, but in particular the biggest part of the market, so that the SME and the small business in general, is very high targeted by cyber criminal, with very aggressive kind of threats, like ransomware, for example. Not stealing data. Stealing data, it's something more related to big enterprises. But the small groups of criminals are very interested in a very quick monetization of their attacks. So they use, in general, some threats like ransomware or something similar, just to ask for a ransom, and get money very, very quickly. Or in other cases, we assist to a very huge campaigns of data theft related to financial credentials, that somebody steal from a large amount of targets to resell them in the dark net and in the dark markets, to be used for secondary purposes by other cyber criminals. So it's a very dynamic situation in this moment, and it's quite relevant that even Heike feel as unsafe in this scenario from the cybersecurity perspective, because this is the first step to become resilient, so perceive the risk. This is the very interesting part, and where we are trying to bring our effort actually as a cybersecurity firm, providing, for example, good prevention solution, but also awareness, and enhance the awareness level of the people in general, of the common people, to the cybersecurity risk, to have the good behaviors, manage data in the proper way, manage the technologies in general, all kinds of technologies, especially mobile technologies in this moment, that are highly affected by new threats. It's a totally new ground for the cyber criminals. Nobody's using any more computer. Everybody are using a tablet or mobile. So that's why cyber criminals are addressing mobile threats. It's quite common in this moment. So not so popular, but not so high risk, like as for Windows threats, for example. Mobile is the new playground for cyber criminals. So it's quite interesting scenario, very dynamic.
Okay.
I'd like to point out also another aspect is not only the threat landscape that is increased, but also the fact that the attack surface has increased, because since we're using new applications that we haven't used before a lot, and also we open up ports like remote desktop protocol and things like that, and we access assets of the different companies from remotely. So this also brings more vulnerability to the users. So we have to be aware of that also.
Totally agree. Even the adopting of cloud solution is increasing this attack surface as well. And this is another topic, because usually the companies that are going to adopt cloud solution feel much more safer than the companies that are adopting on-premise solution, because they think that the common thinking is that the cloud provider is going to manage even the cybersecurity for them, and this is not always true. So it's an interesting point of view.
Yeah, I agree that sometimes it's difficult to know if the cloud provider is really doing what he should. So we also have to allow users to be able to see if the security controls are being applied correctly. So we work also on that, but sometimes cloud providers can provide more easily secure solutions, because they have the competence that sometimes the SMEs don't have. So sometimes it's advantageous, but we have to make sure that we know that we can trust the cloud provider. No?
Exactly. Totally agree.
Point. So. Also, Edgardo, if you just were talking, what do you see as the main obstacle for resilience of the small enterprises. So we have to be resilient. So what do you regard here as the main obstacle?
Well, I recently started doing a survey using LinkedIn to be able to understand the needs of different companies, organizations, and SMEs. And what they usually say is the main factor, that the obstacle is the financial one, because they don't have enough, they don't invest enough in cybersecurity, because first of all, they're not aware of having problems until they do get them. And so they don't invest enough, and people who are aware and the companies feel that there's not enough being invested, and that's the main obstacle.
Yes, I think you can fully understand this situation. So Heike, you also agree to that fully. And so what we see is here really then this lack of resources, and fully understandable, because in the end, the operations have to be up, and there it's a first priority.
Yeah, and also there's another problem, is that a lot of security applications, security solutions are very complex to use, and require some knowledge, and so even the simplest tools sometimes require some knowledge, because you cannot depend completely on the tools, because they promise a lot but not always fulfill their promises. So that's another obstacle, yes. So lack of expertise and time and the learning phase that is needed to be able to use correctly the tools. So it's another thing that we need to work on, is simplify this.
May I add something to that, Edgardo? I think also it shouldn't be a one-time exercise. I think this is also something which we should make people aware, that might be something which has to be part of the business itself, because one-time exercise, it's done, and then after 2 or 3 years it's already worse than before. I don't know. I think this might also be an issue.
Yes, sure, very relevant. And if that's Heike, you mentioned that it should be like an ongoing procedure. I think here we also really try to incorporate a strong educational background in our project. And here I would like to hand over to Jessica, so you're from the University of Education.
Yeah.
So what do you see as the special approach of the GEIGER project? So how could it be successful? What do you think is the special features here?
Yes. First of all, I totally agree to making it not a one-time experience. This is like a big part of our program as well, that we say, okay, it's part of the education to actually make people aware cybersecurity is changing all the time, and we need to keep up with that. So yes, the GEIGER approach on the education is covering different layers, but first of all, we're working with a very, very wide target group here. So we have lots of different MSEs in Europe. So basically what we have to do in our program is to make it adaptable, to make it easily adaptable, so that, of course, cybersecurity changes all the time. It's a moving target. And also, yes, because we have all those different target groups. So what we have is that, for example, the University of Education, Freiburg, we make some sort of curriculum which we give to educational providers. So let's say in the special case of Romania, it would be Cluj IT, and they make a special program for their target group. So this is actually adapted to the target group, and we have different educational providers. So in these settings, we have then different levels. So this starts on from the first basic level. This is for the people who don't know anything at all. For example, these might be yoga teachers or someone else, and they get to know really easy things like, for example, how do I set up a password? How do I manage my 15 passwords without being unsafe? That starts with these simple like DIY things that we add on. And what's important for that is, of course, that it's really compact, so that we have this, in a sense, which can be done within the working time we have. And it's important for us to also link it to the working field. So for example, if someone would start the basic education, this person would also take some tasks and fulfill them within their working environment. Say, for example, set up a password for your company and so on. Make sure that this works so that it's not abstract, but it's actually really closely linked to what is happening in their reality. And then it goes on to level 2 and 3 and 4. And for the higher levels, we have a sort of certification program. So starting from level 3 on, you can actually become a certified security defender, which means that you have some sort of education that is really no behavioral things, some technical stuff, and you can actually tell this to other people also, so that you can actually help people, for example, in your peer group, and say, I'm a certified security defender, I can help you with the issues you have. If you have to start from scratch, and I can help you. And especially in the level 4, like the highest level, we have mostly people who are more coming from the IT field. So in our target group, there are also MSEs, which are IT startups or something in that sort. And they can become ambassadors and actually provide this as a service. So they have some sort of education, and they also learn how to educate other people in cybersecurity basics and how to act with this. And it's also important to take into account that we have the GEIGER app itself, like the GEIGER counter, and it's closely linked to the education. So the GEIGER is just one of many tools that come to this place here, so that it's kind of a big ecosystem. And what we take on a sustainability aspect, because we have this moving target, we have a community, as Bettina said, we have the community of education providers and the security defender. You can update content and just make sure that it's not getting outdated, but it stays up to date. There are people you can talk to, and it's happening. So that's the basic concept which we follow at the moment.
Thank you. And Amedeo, so you are also an education provider and also contributing to our project. So how will you contribute in your strong position with your long years of experience? How will you contribute to the SME and ME security in the educational aspect?
Yes, we plan to provide 2 gamified educational contents to the GEIGER education ecosystem. If you allow me to share my screen just for a I would love to share with you what are we thinking about.
For sure.
Okay, so basically
double click on the screen that appears.
Yes. Basically, this is the first game we would like to customize for people working for micro and medium small enterprises. It's called the Kaspersky Interactive Protection Simulation, or KIPS, and is meant for people who will have to make strategic decisions related to cybersecurity in their organization, both from the economic and the technical perspective. Basically, we arrange students into teams of 3 to 5 people, and during the 2 hours of play, they will act like if they are the new team responsible for cybersecurity in this, let me say, ideal micro enterprise that we will think about and represent into the new map we will build for the GEIGER project. So basically, during the game, these teams will face, of course, cyber threats, because it's a Kaspersky game, and they will dispose of action cards, allowing them to take proactive or reactive actions to deal with the threats they will face. And based on the action performed, they will experience different threats or different same threats. So basically, the learning path will be customized. At the end, the trainer will explain basically the mistakes made during the game, explaining the ideal scenario and where there is the true awareness moment, how to deal with these cyber threats. And the second game, here you can see it, is called the CSMG, Cyber Safety Management Games. And this one is meant basically for everybody. So also for people with lack of experience in IT or no experience at all in cybersecurity, but that need to use IT tools in their daily work life. So basically in CSMG, the main goal for the new map we will develop in GEIGER will be to assess the levels of individuals in taking cybersecurity into account while making decisions at work. So basically the game is structured in 3 parts. During the first part, the trainer, that in GEIGER will be the certified security defender Jessica was talking about before, will explain the 3 main misconceptions people have when they deal with with cybersecurity, and then we will provide positive user. We'll try to transform them in positive user actions by providing positive examples to follow. So positive behavioral examples to follow. During the game, each individual will play in a board similar to the one you are watching in the screen, and basically the board is divided into 12 areas. Each area might hide a cyber threat or not, and the players will bet. They will have chips like casino style fishes, and will bet with red chips if they consider the zone risky, or green chips if they consider the zone safe. At the end, the cybersecurity defender will analyze the mistakes and explain them with again with example and with exercises, and discussing within the team, especially with the ones that were wrong with their bets. And at the end, we hope to fill the gaps that people working in SME and SMEs are facing right now.
So thank you, Amedeo. This reminds me of a cybersecurity escape room game that we have developed at FHNW, where we also put people into the situation to really experience firsthand how it feels if you are attacked. But now, even though I did this cybersecurity escape room, let me play the devil's advocate and really ask you the question: gamification. Will it really work for the target group of the small enterprises, or is it just a nice hour and then we are back to normal? So what is your experience there, or your expectation?
Bettina, we in Kaspersky, we don't have only just games in our security awareness portfolio. We have a lot of tools and services. We have a micro-learning platform, adaptive learning platform, traditional training supported with workshops, with Kaspersky experts, simulations of phishing attacks, case studies about attacks that actually happened in the past to reinforce the skills. No, but if we want to talk about how to make how to engage people, so basically how to capture their attention, and how to make them, to keep them their interest high on these topics, so how to make them continuously update, to follow cybersecurity blogs, for example, or to subscribe to online trainings related to cybersecurity. Well, if we think about that, there is nothing better than our games. This is what our experience is telling us. So what we think is that having the certified security defender as a trainer will be one of the key success factors for the GEIGER's end users. And of course, we will do our best to provide new scenarios, particularly tailored for micro enterprises and for small and medium enterprises to do that.
Okay, thank you. So I see it's also embedded in many other solutions that you have, and I also like the idea of this cases of real-world attacks, and to learn from others in the field. I think this I could also see as a very relevant source to share. So I think this is very interesting. And so you said we have this engaging games for raising awareness. Now, Heike, you are a small enterprise. You are aware. So beyond this raising of awareness, what would you expect, or what would help you to implement any cybersecurity measures in your company?
Yeah, I think in general for me, and if you start a business, you know, cybersecurity is not the first topic you are dealing with. First of all, you say, okay, you need to have development. You need to show that your application is ready to the market. You need to look for marketing, and you do everything on your own, you know. So meaning you don't have the capacity per se to say, okay, I have a person who is dedicated to cybersecurity. And for me, it would be even great to, as I'm part of the business here, I would be happy to see, okay, how secure is my application at all, because I'm providing an app, you know. And as we heard before and learned before, the future is that people are no longer using all the time the computer. They are more and more app related, or having apps on their iPads and so on, you know. And my business is mainly in the app business. Also, we have a little bit in the back end, but also here it would help me to see, okay, where do I stand, you know? Are the companies I'm working with, are they doing the right stuff, you know? I'm not able to ask that question. They can tell me, yes, they do. But at the end, do I have proven evidence of that? It's very difficult for me to make a judgment here, or to say, okay, is that right or not, you know? And I think there are many other businesses like I have in the same situation, you know?
So I see, so to shed some light on the blind spots, yeah. So if I don't ask, I do not get an answer. But if I don't know what to ask about, then it's already a hopefully or an idea for the right questions to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And what would it cost me also to start implementation? Because I'm not a business who can afford thousands of Swiss francs or euros to spend all the time in cybersecurity. Also, this should be for me affordable, you know. So this would also a criteria for myself to say, okay, there would be something on the market which I really can afford and implement into my small business, you know, to make it better and secure for my customers.
Yeah. So Edgardo, from your side, do you have something to also share with us on this perspective? How could you support the small enterprise to become more secure?
I didn't understand the question because the connection was not that good.
So how could we support the small enterprises to really implement some cybersecurity solutions fitting to them?
Well, I think that the gaming solutions are very good, but they have to be engaging. That means that users would want to play because they have fun doing it. So that would help so that it's wider acceptance of this type of training. And also being able to do their own pen testing, for instance, to be able to verify that their systems are working, which can also be made as a type of a game. To attack yourself and then to learn where your vulnerabilities are and then finding the solutions for them.
And then being able to do this by yourself as an SME, right? So I think there is also a challenge.
And then, of course, then you have to offer solutions that are very economical. Instead of very sophisticated solutions, try to find solutions that are easy to use and economical to use.
I think you mentioned also phishing in the very beginning of our talk here. So I think we target the threats that are accounting for the most attacks there. So the threats that are really accounting for the major incidents. So I think we really, focus on the priorities.
Yeah, for the phishing type of attacks, what we are doing is we're building a small application that will generate messages, for instance, that are malicious and messages that are not. And then the user have to decide which ones are good and which ones are bad. And so that way they learn how to identify different indications that the messages are malicious. No?
Yes, and if I may sum this up, that's the educational point of view, that we have these things that are like, it's a big topic on motivation, on like these games and what Edgardo just mentioned. I think that's a lot of motivation happening in there, but in this case, that's where the learning happens in the next step, because we have different media coming together, different materials, and it's quite diverse. So something might be just online workshops, so it's all coming together. So I think that's going to be a very diverse.
Another aspect that I think is very interesting is that cyber threat intelligence, to be able to gather cyber threat intelligence and make this accessible for the SMEs, because today there's a lot of companies who offer cyber threat intelligence, but it's not actionable, or it's very difficult to use or understand, and it's not up to date. So what we need is a cyber threat intelligence that can be easily used by the SMEs, and that it's real time, so that we can prevent attacks before they occur in your own network.
And actually looking to the future, I think, Fabio, you mentioned the aspect which is very relevant. Yes, a laptop is today, or was yesterday. Today we have a smartphone. And so how do you see this mobile-first approach, and what is your contribution here, or your solution there on this aspect?
Yes, mobile first is a mandatory approach right now. As I mentioned before, the laptops or standard computer are not going to be used anymore by the end user. So we need to protect not only the mobile devices, but the mobile applications. Our contribution in GEIGER is also completed by KMS SDK. It's a very complex name for a solution that is a software development kit that includes some modules, very different kind of modules, to protect not only the application of GEIGER itself, but also the entire device. So this is our approach. We decided to provide a modular SDK that can be integrated in the, not only in GEIGER application, of course, but in every application, so potentially, and is able to avoid such threats operation that threats for mobile can deliver on mobile devices. For example, in some cases, the biggest part of the mobile threats are related to, for example, to capturing and stealing the financial credentials. So potentially any application that permit to save on the mobile device the credit card number, for example, it can be addressed to cyber criminals. Protecting this part, so avoiding the jump in from another application to the one that is protected, it's a very mandatory task. But also protect the device itself from dangerous behaviors. For example, something that was popular some time ago, jailbreaking on the device. So enhancing the privileges of the user in the device. That it's a safety measure. So bring the user with lower permission in the device, it's a safety measure to protect the user itself. But sometimes, in some cases, those privileges can be augmented by the user itself. So it can bring the entire mobile devices in danger. That's why we detect such behavior and avoid to the user of the other application to extend the privileges. So it's a very modular approach. We need to cover several topics and several potential threats, and integrate this application, this mobile development kit, with the application of GEIGER. GEIGER is the best approach in our opinion, because it can bring the biggest value to the project itself.
As you mentioned,
it's a technical part, but I hope I was clear enough in this. explanation.
Concerning mobile networks, we're working on the security aspects of 5G, for instance, and we participate in a project called H2020 Inspire 5G Plus, where all the techniques to be able to secure the communications from the end to end, from the devices to the core, need to be considered, and this is an aspect. Even though it will be transparent for the SMEs, it will allow better security in the communications.
Thank you. So also, I think we have then a lot of ideas that we want to implement, and then also our project will last for 30 months, so we have 2.5 years to go. But also what we want to ensure is some sustainability beyond our project. And so maybe Jessica would also want to, do you think with this approach that we want to build community, maybe comment on that one, how do you think this will be helping us to make the project sustainable?
Basically, whenever you set up a community, it's like also decentralizing things and then making sure that it's in the hands of the certified security defender community. So what we do right now is setting up a stable product, a stable educational program in some sort of framework, which is easily adaptable. So our aim is that in the future, we're going to have a community of educational providers, which could be, for example, small IT startups who say, okay, I'm going to make a business case out of GEIGER and I can make some educational things on this. And they will be working on this for a longer time than the project lifetime. And there will be, of course, a community so that they can communicate with each other and see where do we need updates. And also we have the certified security defenders who, once they get certified, they have the certificate and they can work as this and also then communicate with each other and just have a framework, a background where you can always go to and say, okay, what is it happening right now? Where do we need updates? What is important at the moment? So we're at the moment starting on building these communities, and we hope that they're going to grow very big and very stable.
Yes, well, actually we have.
May I ask a question? For example, what I also would be interested in is to see, okay, as I think Edgardo mentioned that before, pen test and also the cyber GEIGER application itself. For example, the cyber GEIGER application, would that be available for free, or is that something people need to buy, or also with the pen test, how would something like that look like? To say, okay, pen test is in general is very expensive. How could it be made affordable for small business? And do you have already an idea, or? Well,
the pen test can be done by scripts where you generate traffic, and this traffic is injected in your network, and then you can detect to see if the security controls are working correctly, for instance.
But for example, then there I also would need to have another person who is then also doing the check of the report to say, okay, here there's something in danger. I all the time need to have specialists on board to get the right outcome of such a pen test and what to do later on. So I think that would be also very interesting to see how could that look like for small businesses.
Well, it's sort of equivalent to what is done by the antivirus solutions, where they analyze the different files and then list all the vulnerabilities, all the malicious code they found in the files. So you would get a list of all the vulnerabilities, and then this will give you an idea. This can be fed to the GEIGER application that will then give you the level of security that you have obtained.
Okay. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And so I think this is also then interesting to see if we have then the solutions that you, for example, suggest, Edgardo, and then to really have it broken down to the end user group to really make it then usable and very easy. I think this sounds very easy on a PowerPoint slide, but this is a challenge to really make it down to earth and really make it work. So I think we are very well aware that we have started out and we have a very diverse consortium, which allows us to really cross-check the different viewpoints, and that we are here on a very challenging journey. So I think it's really no secret that we know that this is really an interesting journey, and I'm pretty sure that that everybody of us will learn a lot. And so I'm coming now to a close, but I would be interested also as a final question, and you can also give some questions as well. But I would be interested for you, Kaspersky, you've mentioned that you are involved in many other European Horizon 2020 projects. So what made it interesting for you to join the GEIGER project and this collaboration?
No, right. Okay, let me answer. For us, it's a great opportunity to participate in the Horizon 2020 initiatives in general for several reasons. We are very we are as Kaspersky involved in several collaboration initiatives with the European Commission, with the European Union in general. We are ready, for example, participate to joint actions with Interpol and Europol. With Europol, we have with Interpol. Sorry, we have some very interesting initiatives and collaborations related to analysis of cybersecurity threat actors in Europe. We collaborate in law enforcement activities. So for us, it's very important even to listen the market, to listen the needs of the emerging needs of the market of the European citizens and companies. So it's quite crucial for us to participate in such kind of activities. In this project in particular, we are very happy to bring our expertise in cybersecurity awareness and mobile security, and we are also focusing specifically to SME as market in general. So it's also a way to collect information about market needs. As you can see, we have several very important reasons to attend and participate to this project.
Yes, exactly. Elaborating the market needs. I think this is really one phase where we are right at this moment. And so I think we are closing our session. So I would want to share my screen to make you aware of our possibilities to collaborate with us. So you should see my slide with our next steps.
Maybe the public has questions, no?
Exactly. So I think here that's a very valid point. We had Heine screening the questions, and Heine, I did not hear from you, but questions by the audience, or are there any questions? So from the audience, so if you would be having some questions, we are very happy to answer. So we are here a group which is small enough so we can answer your questions. So take the last minute to raise, yeah. So I see something dropping in, right? Please type here. Good, it's still a call for participation. So we give you some minutes because if all your questions are answered, and I'm pretty sure you might have some questions, so is that we would just want to point out that we have started our project in June 2020. However, we will start already on the community building. So here we are very interested to collaborate. And as you saw, we have an education provider community, but for sure the community of security defenders. In Romania, we have our community of the startup. Here, the Cluj IT startup cluster is a very essential partner for us. So we are very happy to collaborate with you after this today's session as well. And in June 2021, we will have our first prototype, our minimal viable product, and there it's really a good way also to jump in, and before that to join already our community building. And also we will, throughout the upcoming year, validate and demonstrate our solutions in the pilot countries, whereas Romania is one of our very important pilot countries. And we will for sure be present in Romania throughout the upcoming months as well. And we would be very happy if you would stay in touch with us. So we are present on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, on our website. So if you want to find us, just Google with the GEIGER. And we are very happy to get your questions, to get your interest for collaboration, and to just stay in touch with you or give you regular updates. So we would be very happy here. And also you can visit us on our Expo booth on this Cluj Innovation Days. And all right, so I see that we have a calm audience, and so we will also get calm now. And I really enjoyed our exchange. I would like to thank you and want to also thank for the opportunity to take part here in the Cluj Innovation Days. So it's a really great experience for us. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the program as well. Thank you very much, Jessica, Heike, Fabio, Edgardo, Amedeo, for your time and your intervention. Thank you very much for Heini, who all set it up, to prepare it very well. And so it was really a good experience for us. And then we just want to wish you a nice session and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you a lot,
Thank you.
Bettina.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Nice day.
Cluj Innovation Days 2020 is part of the Future Skills lifelong learning program. The project is co-financed from the European Social Fund through the Human Capital Operational Program 2014-2020.